In this video, I'm going to show you how we can configure inter-autonomous MPLS VPN option B with a little difference with compare of the previous scenario. Here, I'm going to show you the configuration with redistribution instead of the next top self. Many part of the configuration exactly same with the previous scenario. Because of that, I am going to configure again from a notepad file from previous scenario step by step, and we can finally understand that what is the difference between the redistribution option and also the next hop option. Starting from the for example router 11 again, and after that we can continue to the other systems. Here is the CLI. In CLI, let me configuring again first the VPC1. The IP is 192.168.150, mask is 24, and the gateway is 111. This is the first device. The second device, VPC2, IP is 192.168.350, mask is 24, and the gateway is 312. This is the configuration of the VPC1 and VPC2. Okay, let me to configure the router 11. The router 11's configuration exactly same with the previous scenario. Because of that, we need only to copy the configuration of R11. I'm sure that you configured all of this before, but let me to do here R11. This is the R11 configuration, and also R12. Again, here we don't have any difference. Because of that, let me to copy this configuration on the R12 CLI. Now we configure two CE routers in for example, customer A site 1 and customer B also site 1. Okay, the next router is router 1. The router 1's configuration is exactly same. Because of that, let me to copy the configuration of R1. This is the configuration of the R1, and now after that we can copy this configuration to the R1 CLI. Look at here, this is the R1 configuration, this is the R1 CLI, and that's it. So easy. Okay, let me to wait some second. After some second, we can find the addresses of customer A site 1 and customer for example B site 1 in the R1. Look at here, show IP route VRF A1. Okay, now we have only one connected networks. We need to wait. And also about the VRF B1, we have only the connected networks. We need to wait. We can configure R2. After that, we can again check the R1. First, R2's configuration exactly same. Because of that, let me to copy the R2's configuration and pasting on the router 2. This is the router 2. Very good. In R1, we can check again the show IP route VRF A1. Again, we didn't receive BGP update. Let me configure the router 4. After that, we can check again the R1. This is the configuration of router 4 without any change, R4. And also we can configure the router 3, because in router 3 also we don't have any change, because you know that we are using option B again. Only about the next top self we have some for example features. Copy the R3's configuration, pasting on the router 3. Until now we configured R1, R2, R3 and R4. Let me check the R1 again, show IP route VRF A1. Okay, look at here now we have these routes, the BGP routes, and also in VRF B1 we have 192.168.30. It's okay. Also, let me configuring R5. In configuration of R5, I'm going to remove one option. You know that in configuring R5, we configure the next top self. Everything is same. I don't want to remove other features. Only the next top self should be removed from here. Okay, because we want to use another option, the redistribution. Because of that, I remove the next top self from the R5, and after that we can copy the other part of the configuration on the R5 CLI. This is the R5, and we can copy and paste on the R5 CLI. This is the R5 configuration. Now, after some second, we will have the BGP routes 192.168.10/24 and also 192.168.30/24 as VPN v4 in the router 5, because you know that we configured the no BGP default route target filter in the router 5. Here, let me check again, show BGP VPN v4 unicast all, okay, unicast all. Yes, we have these two routes, 192.168.10 and 30. After some second, this should change to the best, okay. Show BGP VPN v4 unicast all for the 192.168.10, 255, 255, 2550. After some second, this should change to the accessible, and we will see the update into the for example, BGP table as selected as best. Let me check again. Show IP route can show us that we didn't learn. Yes, we learned the 192.168.2.541. After some second, BGP should select it the path as the best. Let me first configuring the router 6. Again, we can check the router 5. In router 6, we have only one change. The change is about the next hop self. You know that I'm going to remove the next hop self also in the router 6. That's it. And we don't have any change in the router 6. Let me to copy the other part of configuration on the router 6. Okay. After some second, we will have again the neighborship between router 5 and router 6. Let me check again the router 5 show BGP. Now it's changed. It's okay. And also you can see that here in the show BGP VPN v4 unicast all, we have these two routes as the best, and R6 now learn these two routes. Let me to check. Do show BGP VPN v4 unicast all. Okay. Yes, we received these two routes with the next hop of router 5. Until now, we don't have any problem. But let me configure R7, R9 first. The R7 has not any change. Let me copy this configuration of R5. This is the R5 configuration, R7 configuration. And after that, we can configure the router 8 and also router 9. In router 8 also, we don't have any change. Let me to configure the router 8 configuration. This is the router 8, okay? And then we can copy the configuration of the router 9. That's it, okay? Until now, we configured the R6, R7, R8, and R9 in the ISP2, but we didn't configure R10. You know it, okay? Let me check the R8's BGP table. In R8, you can see the show BGP VPN v4 unicast all. As you can see, we received 192.168.10/24 and also 192.168.30/24. And because the next hop is inaccessible for router 8, router 8 cannot advertise this update to the router 10. Let me to configuring router 10 because this is the router 9 configuration. Let me to copy also this part in router 9. Okay, and after that we can copy the configuration of R10. In R10 also we don't have any change. This is the R10 configuration. You know that we configured VRF A2 and B2 with the same RD and R2. It's okay. And then the interface ETA02, 03, and also the neighbor segment. Everything is okay in the router 10 because here everything is same with the previous scenario. Let me to show you that in R10 after neighborship with R8 we didn't receive it. We will not receive the 192.168.10 and 20. Let me to show you. Look at here in R10. We have neighborship show BGP VPN v4 unicast all summary. We have neighborship with router 8, but we didn't receive any update. And this is obvious because in R8, if you check show BGP again, you can see that these two paths doesn't select it as the best path. The reason is that the next hop is inaccessible, and it is also now is occurring for the routes of the 192.168.20/24 and 40/24 when they advertise from R5 to R3. How we can solve the problem? The first solution is using the next hop self, as you saw in the previous scenario, but here I'm going to use the redistribution. You know that this next hop should be accessible for the for example router 8, but router 8 now doesn't have any for example path to this network. We can redistribute this network, the network of the for example the link between router 5 and router 6 inside of the for example IGP of the ISP2 and also inside of the IGP of the ISP1. How we can use it, we can, for example, use the redistribute command in the IGP, redistribute connected. But because I'm not going to redistributing all of the connected networks, let me to select the connected networks that we need. For example, in R6, this is the configuration of the router 6. Let me to show you. This is the configuration of router 6. I'm going to first configuring one access list. For example, access list 1. Oh, okay. Or if you want, you can configure prefix list. IP prefix list. Okay. IP prefix